Welcome to Gilbert's here.
Yes.
This is Christopher James with Taylor Reed.
Hey,
now,
good to finally meet you, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of great things about you for years as well.
Well, thanks a lot. You know, I don't know if you know this, but your show was the very first show I ever saw in Branson.
Cool.
You were at the theater by the Branson Walmart there.
Absolutely, yeah, the Branson Mall back in the day.
Yeah, and the very first night I was here, somebody from our show at the Showboat said, we got to go see a show, and he thought I would like to go see a magic show, which he doesn't realize that I don't want to watch it on my time off. And so I came out, and we saw your show with the poodles.
And all that, Kind of retired the poodles now, but I had the standard poodles in the show for a long time.
Yeah, you had them not that long ago when I saw them.
Yeah, I still have some poodles, but I've decided to kind of let them, because one of them's getting really old, and we had another one that passed away here a while back. He was my best performing dog, so I thought,
your best poodle.
Yeah, so I thought, well, I'm just gonna kind of ease back from the animal bit.
Right. Well, you let them free. Like I heard of somebody else around here that let their tigers go to a sanctuary. So you let the poodles roam free.
I'm just gonna let them hang out in my house. My wife's a big fan of animals, so. Yeah.
Oh wow. So I want to talk about your background a little bit, and I've researched you a little bit, and I know that you were a drummer.
Okay. Yes.
Right. And you were doing that for quite a while.
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were from Vegas, like you were living in Vegas for a while.
For a long time.
How long did you live in Vegas?
In Vegas for 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah. And I started I started off in Texas, if you want to go kind of back to the beginning. Started off as a child, about 4 or 5 years old. Christmas tree is kind of where the magic kit started from. But I was also into playing drums because my father was a kind of a music teacher. He taught drums, piano, guitar, sax. He was kind of pretty good at every instrument, but not great at any of them. Just good enough to teach children how to play.
He could have his own show.
There you go. There you go. So he kind of taught me the basic beats on a drum, and I kind of played drums for many years with my father's band. He was a hobbyist player, performer, and he made most of his money, and the real job was in real estate. But he loved the arts, so I was a drummer my whole life, basically.
Yeah.
And I moved to Vegas in 1986 to be a magic star, hopefully. That was my dream. And, of course, that didn't pan out as well as I wanted, but my father said, you may want to take your drum set as a backup plan.
Right.
And I think it was 2 weeks into Vegas, I was already playing all the lounges in Vegas.
Yeah.
Making like $500 a week as a 19-year-old, and I was pretty happy. I mean, that was not bad money at a 19-year-old kid. And I was kind of enjoying the moment as being a drummer and entertainer, kind of singing background in bands.
Yeah.
And a lot of girlfriends. They like musicians more than magicians, by the way. That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
good
I think
times.
that's pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of good times. But my real passion is magic, though. And at some point, I finally said, I'm going to just give the drums up. No more singing and playing drums. 100% magic or nothing. So.
Right. But you had the stereotypical getting a magic kit as a kid.
Absolutely.
Sort of
That's kind of where it started for me.
Yeah.
It seems to be the story for most,
you
right?
would think. It's not for me.
No?
Like, no.
Yeah.
Well, I did tricks when I was younger, but I got a little bit older and saw some people doing tricks, and people really liked it, and I'm like, well, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
So gave it a shot, but a lot of practice. Now, when you got started, when you were still in Texas, did you do the whole birthday circuit?
Oh, absolutely. I started off doing like McDonald's, actually. One of the first McDonald's that ever hit Texas, I was the little birthday party magic guy in the back.
Oh, really? Like when they had birthday parties at the McDonald's?
Yeah, or we would just book them that way. It was kind of cutting edge stuff back in the day. I'm way old, so and we would do magic everywhere from wedding parties to birthday parties at people's homes. And eventually I was fortunate enough because my father was a realtor. He had a lot of little properties around the town, and he decided, why don't we make a little magic shack place for people to come see us? And I'm like, hey, that's cool.
Right.
Of course, remembering that he's a hobbyist entertainer as well at the time. He's a singer and all. So we set up a little magic theater to where all they'd have to bring is the cake and the children. So it was kind of fun. It's kind of like a little CC's Pizza thing of the time.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And we did like magic birthday parties for like $150. Bring the cake, and we'll give you the show. Yeah. And it was fun because we were able to give them illusions as opposed to just small tricks because we had our own little place.
So did your dad help build all that?
Absolutely, yeah. And he used it a lot for his, he used the theater a lot for his gig as well. Like he would do big roasts for real estate conventions, and they would play their music there and all. So it was kind of I got lucky the fact that he had the entertainment bug, so we both kind of got to live the dream for a long time that way.
Kind of like your own little magic castle thing.
There you go.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? I would love to do that in Branson. Have a place like that.
It was nice. My dad's quite the businessman as well. He was able to get Stan Irwin, which was Johnny Carson's personal manager, to fly out and see my show when I was 13.
What?
And Stan Irwin said, I need to bring a consultant with me, someone that knows magic. So believe it or not, he brought the great Tom Sony with him.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Johnny Thompson.
Johnny, yeah.
And Johnny Thompson and Stan Irwin came and watched my show, and I was about 13. They were semi-impressed. I don't know how impressed, but they kind of wanted to manage me at the time. And for some reason or another, my father decided against it because it was, I think, a lot of money. But I think my father said, "I'll do it if you can get him on the Carson show." And they couldn't confirm that.
Right,
so
right.
I think he said, "We're going to pass."
So how old were you when you moved to Vegas then?
I moved to Vegas when I was around 19 years old.
Oh, wow, that's really young to
cutting
move to
edge
Vegas.
to 20. I moved out there with a friend of mine. I had been going out to Vegas most of my life with my father on vacation, my mom and dad, and I got to see Siegfried and Roy, Copperfield, Circus, anything magic. I was all over it, just loving it. Even though back in the 70s when I was a kid, Vegas was not a good place for children.
Right.
So we had to wear like pinstripe suits and fake mustaches. I have some really cool stories.
Disguise.
Yeah. My dad was such a cool guy to hook me up with Siegfried and Roy, David Copperfield. He would persistently call their agents and managers and said, "Hey, my kid's a hobbyist magician. Can he just take a picture with you?"
Right.
And they're like, "Just leave us alone." And he'd say, "Come on." He would drive them nuts, and they'd finally say, "Hey, go meet the kid."
Leave us alone.
Yeah,
leave us alone. We'll take a
Siegfried
picture.
would go, Roy, if Taylor Reed comes, kick him out the back door.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, it was a great experience because we got to meet a lot of celebrities and stuff at a young age. And I'm quite the creator, so I was always kind of like creating magic tricks as a child. Nowadays, we've got all these little wizards on computers. And in my day, there were no computers. Nobody had laptops. So I would just create magic on paper. And so when I had the chance to meet Siegfried or Copperfield and these guys, they would say, what do you got here? And I would sit and show them all my blueprints. And that kind of intrigued them. So that was very interesting at a young age to get to not just meet them, but have them want to continue to be my friend because I had some goodies here.
Yeah, that's kind of good.
It was
background. And you were there, I remember in the mid to late 80s, that's when they tried to make it family friendly. Yeah, in Vegas. They put in the water parks. And
they put a theme park in, and I did 1,000 shows at the MGM theme park. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. I wonder if I saw you. Because we went, during that time, we went to every show. Because they were just trying to attract the kids and stuff. But as you were saying, it's changed so much with the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about a little bit, because you've been through that whole thing. You and I were just talking about technology and stuff.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. This is Christopher James with Taylor Reed, and we'll be back in a minute.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you for supporting All Things Branson. Be sure to subscribe and stay in touch on Facebook and Twitter. Christopher James back here with Taylor Reed in Branson, Missouri. And you've had a lot of luck with reality shows. That's kind of changed some things for you. Technology, internet. I kind of want to talk about all that. So tell me about, so you went to, you moved from Vegas to Branson. You were here for a while, and then suddenly you're on America's Got Talent.
Absolutely.
How did that go down? How did they contact you?
Yeah, they contacted me. They started contacting me every season. As soon as I hit town, believe it or not, shortly thereafter, I think the TV show came on. I think that's the one that Nathan Burton was on. They started contacting me, and it just didn't kind of work out until a few years later. I finally got to go to Tampa, Florida.
Right.
They had been, I think they go searching for entertainers in Branson, LA, Vegas.
They've contacted me about it. So,
absolutely. I think they came one time to Branson and did a cattle call. Everything from the Duttons and beyond, everybody went to a big convention room, and I went there as well. So that's the first time they saw me. And then, anyway, it eventually evolved what I got to do at the TV show, and it was really an amazing experience. It really helped me.
What was it like? Did they try to manage you? My experience, which I'll just touch on really quick, was they contacted me. They liked the look of things that I did, but then they approached me with ideas of different types of routines they wanted me to do, and it didn't fit my style, and so I backed out of it because it made me uncomfortable. But did they try to do that with you?
To be honest with you, I don't think they like me too well because I went to a meeting. It's a long, drawn-out story, actually. I actually originally did a TV show with them in Dallas, Texas. I think the year was 2008. I went to Dallas, Texas with a couple of illusions that they dictated. They're like, you can either do the head spin trick or the trick where the girl gets little.
Yeah, that's
you and I would know that's twister or compressed, but they don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
So they dictated what tricks I did, and I called my friend Nathan Burton in Vegas, and I said, what do you suggest? You're the master of this stuff. And he says, do as much as you can do, as fast as you can do it, and basically slam it down their throat, because da-da-da-da-da, they've seen all this stuff before, basically, So I told them I will go ahead and do the compress, which is little bitty, I call it little bitty, and they said, you can either go to Dallas, Texas, or you can go to Chicago. And I decided to go to Dallas because I'm a Texan, and that's my Texas routine.
Right.
In my show, I do a lot of variety, but that's a little Texas number. I'm not a huge fan of country music, but it's my little redneck bit. And I went to Texas and did that, and I went ahead and threw another illusion in the mix called the Bits and Pieces. So I did Bang and Bang like Nathan, and this is back when Pyrrhus was in it, Sharon Osbourne, and Howie.
Okay.
Long story short, I didn't make airtime. I wasted a lot of time, energy, money in rehearsing, etc.
Right.
So years later, when they kept approaching me to be on the show again, I'm like, I kind of had a bad taste because I'm like, I didn't even make airtime. And I said, so here's the deal. They said you're already gonna be on the show, guaranteed. Meet us in St. Louis for a meeting. I said, I'm not coming to impress you. They said, no, you're on. Yeah. You don't have to impress us. Just come meet with us. I said, okay. So I went to St. Louis. I don't know how much of this I should tell, but basically when I went to St. Louis, I basically told them, if you want me on the show, I'm doing the appearing motorcycle. Otherwise, lose my number.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they said, well, we think you should do that later because that's pretty cool. I said, there are no guarantees in this life.
Yeah, right.
I'm doing it the first time or I'm not doing it at all. So I kind of they said, you're giving us an ultimatum. I said, kind of. Yeah. I said, if you want me on motorcycle, if you don't, no worries. I'm going back to Branson.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
I just told them. And actually, I got to do the motorcycle, which is my original effect. And honestly, I think all artists do that show. They're kind of using the show. The show's kind of using them. Right. It's like I was doing it for the exposure, obviously. I was doing it to showcase my new illusion for my Magicians Worldwide because I sell that illusion to Magicians Worldwide as well. So I figured if I get a TV commercial out of this for Magicians, it's already a win. Now, if I also do good, like a thumbs up from all judges, then it's going to be good for Branson, which it actually was. But however, I kind of told them how it was going to be, and I took the chance. And they could have said, you're not going to be on the show. And I said, no worries, I'm going home.
That's kind of what they did to me. Gig. I didn't have to meet them in person, but we did conference calls. Right on. And so they would say, well, we watched this YouTube video that you sent. Will you watch these ones, and can you do this guy's act?
Yeah.
And I didn't want anything to do with that. And they said, well, we like this illusion that this guy has, but we don't like his look or his personality. Can you do this?
Right on.
And it just made me uncomfortable. So eventually I did what you did, where they said, well, you need to let us know what's going on. And I said, well, I don't need this. And they said, but think of the exposure. And I said, I have a job. Like, I don't.
There you go.
I don't need this.
It's a tough show because this was later into the show. Like, I can't remember what year, 8, 9, 10, 11, 2011, 2012-ish, I can't remember. A few years after 2008, which I did Dallas, Texas, with no airtime. Right. They had improved the situation, but they've also seen everything. Yeah. And nothing impresses them.
They're jaded now.
And so they're like, hey, Taylor, we've seen trains, planes, and automobiles appear on this show. What makes us or you think that a motorcycle is going to be impressive? And then I said, well, a buddy of mine was on the show about a year ago as a special guest star. I don't know if you remember David Copperfield. And they go, yeah. And I go, he came on and made a motorcycle appear in a paper box. And they go, yeah. And I said, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? They go, yeah. And I said, well, my thing, in my opinion's even kind of cooler because it's a new concept. It's kind of like see-through and magically different. Yeah. So I did it. I got lucky. I kind of got my way getting on the show. But after I got on the show, it was complete dictation from them. Yeah. They took me in the corner like Bon Jovi. I swear, 3,000 people on their feet, Tampa, Florida. I was in a real high moment. It was like Rocky in the movie. And the producer said, come back here with me in the hallways. And I was trying to enjoy this moment. But they're like, come back here with me. And we went back in the back hallways. And they said, what are you going to do in Vegas? And I said, I've got that all figured out. And I told them my concept of my vision, which I wanted to actually do a routine with my daughter. My daughter at the time was 4 or 5. but we were going to do a sweetheart moment where she just came out and you hear her cute little voice, and then I was going to levitate my daughter.
Right.
So it was going to show that I'm a real person. It was going to show the Danny Gans type feel. You know, he was the star in Vegas that passed away early, but he was a great entertainer. It was going to show that moment where the guy can entertain, and it's kind of sentimental. And then I was going to go to the live television with some of the bigger effects, like appearing NASCARs and some of that. But they vetoed that. They said, you cannot and will not do your daughter, so that's too small. They said, when you go to Vegas, you must go big or go home.
Yeah. But see, that hasn't worked out because the latest winners and stuff are doing the small stuff now.
So it really disappointed me that I was forced to do either an appearing horse or helicopter.
Yeah.
They asked me what effects that I could bring to the table. They wanted to know 5 options for Vegas, and they picked the one. And at the last minute, about 3 days before shoot time, they changed it to another one.
Yeah.
It puts you under an extreme amount of pressure.
I know. People think it's a talent competition. It is not a talent competition.
It's a television show.
It's a television show where they get basically unpaid entertainers. It's a very
and
cheap
also, as you
show.
know, as an artist, I think a guy like me, even though the real world would think that we want to go to the end, as an artist, you're better off just doing a little bit and going home.
That's what all my friends say. Don't make it to the top 10.
Because then they don't own you.
Right.
But if you get to the very end, they actually own your career, a percentage of your income, etc.
Yeah, for a very, very long time.
As they say, we got the T-shirt to prove it, right? Yeah. That we did it. We've got all the video footage that we play live in Branson on the screens, and Howard Stern and all that stuff, the reactions, Sharon Osbourne. One last thing, I had a gig here in town where an old producer guy says, I don't even know if who are you? And I said, I'm Taylor Reed. And he goes, well, what makes you think you're even big? And he was being kind of smart with me, and I'm like, I don't know, watch this. And I pushed play on YouTube, and it was my appearing motorcycle routine. And Sharon Osbourne goes, it was big, it was special, it was fantastic, or whatever. And then when it was over, I turned and said, is that big enough for you? And he says, all right, you got the job. And he shook my hand.
Yeah, right.
One of those old grabby guys.
I know. I had a guy last night at the show that was a producer for Mark Wilson. Yeah. His old Magic Circus, or whatever it was called. And same type of deal.
Yeah.
So, but you never know. Times have changed, and reality shows have changed a lot, but the internet is changing magic, I think, a lot. And not in a good way, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about that real quick here when we come back. I'm Christopher James with Taylor Reed here in Branson, Missouri, and we'll be right back. Thank you for supporting All Things Branson. Be sure to subscribe and stay in touch on Facebook and Twitter. Here at Gilberti's.
Yes.
Come out, check out the pizza and stuff.
One of my favorite restaurants, by the way.
Yes, I love
Sue
it.
and Wayne Gilberti are my buddies.
Yeah, we might see them here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you real quick about the internet. We were talking about reality shows, and I know you were telling me that you have something else going on here shortly, working on another reality show. And any hints or anything?
Yeah, we're excited about that. My wife and my 2 kids and myself are going to Hollywood for 9 days to do this new TV project, and they won't let us talk about what it is yet. They make you sign contracts and stuff, but it's going to be on television, I think in spring break area of next season.
Oh,
and that's going to be fantastic. And
good for advertising for here.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I may do a guest spot at the Hollywood Magic Castle while I'm there.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
That's fun.
You got world-class guys from around the world.
Yeah, I've done it several times. Have you performed there before?
I've been there before, but I never performed there. So.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, and but it's fun. You meet all kinds of interesting people because I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking about that. And the night I was there, Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, they all came in.
Awesome.
And that was
You know who came to see me at the Branson Mall, speaking of the mall years ago, is Neil Patrick Harris, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And he's big time behind the whole magic scene out in Hollywood.
He's the president of the Magic Castle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he saw my show at Branson Mall, and I about passed out. We comped him in. They said, can Neil Harris come to your show with about 7 comps? And I told my wife, I bet that's Neil Patrick Harris. She goes, no way. I go, yes way. And of course, we took him backstage and gave him all kinds of gifts and stuff.
You're like Siegfried. You're like, if he comes in, just get him out the back door.
Roy,
I'll sign it really
give him
quick.
magic kits and bouquets of
flowers.
I don't know.
But I wanted to talk about the internet because I know you were in on the internet when it was first starting. You're very much into multimedia and stuff, as was I. I had a big write-up in Newsweek about being one of the first e-commerce sites when people were saying, will people buy things over the internet? And boy, they were doubting that we would be successful at that. Yeah. But it has changed magic so much because just like with the reality shows, it seems like everybody has seen everything.
Yeah.
And whenever I post videos, I love to post videos. I love to try things out and post them on there with different characters.
Right.
One thing I hate is on YouTube, I'll post a, let's say, restored soda can routine.
Right on.
But I do it in my own way as a redneck. And right below that will be how to do the restored, soda can. Yeah, it's right there. And it just makes magic so difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
So do you post a lot on YouTube?
I try not to post my N1 numbers, which you and I know what that is. An N1 to the lay public would be the smaller numbers in front of the main curtain, the small tricks. But those are my favorite illusions to do, actually. My whole show, I feel like, is held together with the glue of the N1 numbers, from newspaper tears to Nesta boxes and all the small bits. In
card
fact,
manipulations.
Yeah,
and
it's absolutely my favorite kind of magic. And I think that's what makes a true magician, actually, is the sleight of hand, close-up, and N1 bits, comedy, timing.
Yeah.
And I'm very gun-shy, as you would say, or we would say, about putting on my A material on YouTube.
Right.
I put all my box stuff on YouTube, and I think if they steal that or they copy that, I don't care. Everybody's doing that anyway.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that is that it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's not like somebody in there, doing a birthday party can buy the helicopter appearance or motorcycle.
Yeah. But, it's just terrible because in some ways as an artist, it's good and bad. Like with I haven't seen the act you're talking about, but let's just say you do the redneck can type of thing. Mm-hmm. Not only will somebody show how it works maybe, but someone else is going to be doing your redneck act, which is just not nice at all.
Exactly. That exact thing happened to me this past year, is I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And one good thing about YouTube is I have it chronicled on there that I've been doing it for like 4 years.
There you go.
And I actually have the name Redneck Magician copyright trademarked.
Right on.
And I did all of that when I started. And I had somebody start posting as the redneck magician and doing the same routines and stuff. But I had this on record. So my attorney told me wait to see if they're successful and then get their money.
There you go. Well, you know how it is. I mean, magic's truly operated on ethics. And you either have it or you don't. A lot of them don't.
They don't.
As soon as I did AGT with the motorcycle, a guy in Europe knocked it off.
Yeah.
He built one. And they put it on Britain's Got Talent. And I got on the guy on Facebook, really got up in his business on private messages. And he told me, Simon Cowell made me do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't know if I believe that or not. But Simon Cowell does own an AGT as well.
Right.
So then it makes me think, were they videotaping my prop backstage when I was in the dressing room? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like makes you wonder.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem in magic. And my pet peeve is I've heard you say in other podcasts, it's not about the tricks.
No.
And it's about the presentation. And it's about your personality and connecting with the audience.
Absolutely.
And so many magicians, and I had a major issue with this. I had somebody that was close to me see my show in Branson many times. Many times. And then I found out they won an award at a competition, which I don't do competitions anymore. And I happened to see a videotape, and it was my act from beginning to end. Same jokes, same routines. His justification was, well, you're using gimmicks that you can buy. But it was all my presentation. And I thought it was weird that you did the same 3 routines, you know.
Yeah, presentation's more important than the prop. I mean, I think. Because that's the artist. The presentation is the entertainer, and the trick is the trick. Right? Yeah, the trick means nothing in a way. You get it in the right hands, and it becomes a...
Like with a musical instrument.
Absolutely.
You can own the best piano, but if you can't engage the audience there.
So I'm a big fan of presentation, performance, comedy, all the stuff like that.
But what do you think... I think the internet has created these stars that are just momentary. Yeah. And that I was listening to a musician talk about it, and you used to have to go and practice and audition and work on everything. But now with YouTube, if you have one decent trick, you can get millions of followers.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Everything else you do is garbage.
Yeah. After that. Yeah, I mean, I guess what everybody's hoping and praying for these days is to go viral. Which that sounds like a negative thing, but in the internet world, that's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, Rick Marcelli, Hollywood manager that used to be for Copperfield, he says today the best way to become famous, because people used to ask him, how do you become famous? And back in the day, it used to be Johnny Carson show. Remember in the day? Yeah. If you were on the Carson show back in those days, the next morning you were a superstar.
Right.
Nowadays, there's so many hundreds of thousands of television. There's so many TV shows. If you're on one TV show, it's not like being on the Carson show back in the day. And so he said, truly, the way to become a star today is truly YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's kind of true in a way, because if you get... I haven't been so blessed yet to get a viral type hit. But if you
Not
do...
online.
Online, yeah. But if you do, I'm told it's a beautiful thing. Some of my friends have been fortunate enough to have that happen.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great and all, but of course it would be to wake up one morning and have millions and millions of hits. And I heard a comedian one time, he was a disabled comedian, has cerebral palsy, and somehow his video, a clip of it was shown on Ellen or Oprah or something. Right. He was out on vacation when he woke up one day, he had 10 million hits.
Unbelievable.
And it's just crazy overnight.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to capitalize on that. It doesn't do any good.
Yeah. And then you got to have the goods to back it up. I mean, if you got one good routine and you don't have a 2-hour show or a 1-hour show, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah. Well, I used to have a magic school in Ohio, but my rule was I only took on 2 or 3 students at a time.
Right.
And my most famous story was I had a guy, I had met him, a kid, at a blue and gold banquet, and I was very reluctant, but he seemed like he would really work at it. Showed him a simple little matrix and a couple other things. 2 weeks of lessons. The third week he came in and said he had to leave early because he had showed me his new business card his dad got him, and that he was going to do a birthday party. The third week of lessons.
Wow.
Because he had watched videos online.
On YouTube and stuff,
And he knew what he was doing. But
but
I think it's changed so much. But for the good, too. I mean, it's made magic more popular, but a lot of the new shows out, I think Penn and Teller's new show is fantastic for showing talent.
Yeah, it's definitely a better show for presenting talent. And I was talking to their producers a while back as well. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to that show. I'm hoping to do that eventually.
Yeah.
I've got a new illusion that I'm working on that's so cool, I think that it would be worthy of that show.
Appearing bicycle.
No.
Just keep going back in time.
No, it's actually a new levitation that's quite interesting. I invented a new levitation where you float a person from the audience up, but it can be done 360, surrounded, with people standing very close to it, and no one can see how it works.
Most interesting.
And it's something I've been working on for 2 years, and if I can finish the goal, it's not completed yet, I think it would be worthy of that television show, because they like fun. Stuff that's... They love a lot of sleight of hand as well, but I think if they're going to watch an illusion, it's going to have to be something that's really going to have them scratch their head.
Yeah.
Because they've seen it all.
They have.
And they're great guys, by the way. I used to watch them rehearse in Vegas. That was a very special moment to get to go in and watch these guys kind of work behind the scenes. And I just took a lot of mental notes of how polished these guys are.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Well, their show's really popular right now.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of inventing, and when I come back, I want to talk to you real quick about inventing magic and copywriting magic.
Okay.
So we'll be right back with Taylor Reed.
Thanks.
Thank you for supporting All Things Branson. Be sure to subscribe and stay in touch on Facebook and Twitter. Hi, this is Christopher James, back with Taylor Reed here in Branson, Missouri. And previously we were talking about how you have done some inventing in magic.
Yes.
And that's a little bit of a problem, because a weird thing about magic that a lot of people don't understand is that it's very difficult to copyright your show and your tricks that you do. You can copyright, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can trademark or copyright a gimmick, like the mechanics. But if I use that in a show, I can't copyright that show. Is that pretty much how it is?
I don't know all the copyright rules. I do know that if it's mechanically inclined, if there's moving parts and stuff like a motor, then you can get what's called a mechanics patent, which are very expensive apparently. Then there's a thing called the design patent, which is cheaper and more people get them. Like if you draw a sketch of how a box is going to look, it's called the design.
Right.
So if someone copies that design, then they've infringed on your deal.
Right.
The only way, they can always change it though. Like if you drew a zigzag, like if a zigzag were your original, and you said I want a design patent for that, and you get it, someone could just draw a picture with curved edges, and it's no longer the same design.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that in magic, it still goes back to ethics. You can either be trusted or you can't. And that's why the Magic Cafe and those kind of places are great, because when someone's a thief, you can go tell the magicians about it. And Joe Blow is a big thief. Check this out.
Right.
And that's kind of what we do, as you know. I mean, that's all you kind of can do, is if someone steals from you, go complain about it to all of our magicians.
Get the word out.
And they're not ever going to handcuff them, but maybe
humiliate them.
They may look stupid, because they are.
But here in Branson, though, one thing that I noticed when I came here and talking to comedians, other entertainers, is that that's kind of common here.
Yeah.
Maybe not with what you and I do because it's a little bit more difficult sometimes.
Yeah. What is more common is just people stealing stuff?
Stealing jokes, lines. If a certain song in a show is doing well or a set routine, they'll put it in other shows.
Absolutely. It's very common. Disheartening. Branson, I've gone to a lot of shows in Branson, and I've got to where I don't want to go to Branson shows anymore. I've been here for 10 years, and I don't ever go to Branson shows anymore. But it seems to me, and I don't want to down Branson because I love Branson and it is my town. But I bet there's 5 or 6 shows that almost have the same show.
Yeah,
I mean, there's these variety shows that I'm talking about. Yeah. They have a lot of singers, and they all close with the God Bless America thing, or they do this, and they open, and then they do I Feel Good, or it's the same show, just a different name.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer for me, because in Las Vegas, that did not happen.
Right. That's what I try to tell people, that if you were in Vegas or New York or L.A., this would
I want to
not
raise
happen.
the standards of Branson. I know that sounds kind of mean, but I mean... I think that there's more to Branson than country western music. I love country music for a few minutes, but it's time to do some magic or something more modern.
Something a little different, appeal to a wider range.
Yeah, because there's a younger group coming out here now.
Yeah, well, I think those shows, it's not their fault that they're doing that. They're playing it safe. They know that format works with the people that we've traditionally got. But Branson is evolving to a lot of younger families,
right on.
And they want a variety. You can only go see so many shows that are tributes to different periods
It's
of time.
funny about YouTube and the magic tricks, though. Like, even some of my big illusions on YouTube, I even though I'm an older guy, I'm getting older here, my wife's younger. She likes to help me pick kind of modern, contemporary music.
Well, she's in high school.
So she's still in high school. No, I'm kidding. But we have an illusion called Eclipse, which you've heard of, I'm sure, and it's a really great tune. I don't know who sings it, but it's so modern that my young friends in Hollywood, like 18, 19, 30 years, younger than me, will say, "Hey, Taylor, can I please use that tune in my show? I don't have an Eclipse, but I want to use it for the subtrunk." And I'm like, "Yeah, who cares? If they ask you where you got it from, just tell them Taylor Reed told you."
Yeah, right.
And so at least they can do is say Taylor was the guy that influenced me.
Yeah,
because if you don't let them do it, they're going to do it anyway.
Exactly. And so when Copperfield had his shows on TV, that was great. When they would be on, that everybody would watch and we'd talk about them in school the next day. But every song that he would use would be in somebody's act in the next week.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah.
But that is true because I used to do conventions. And I would always pride myself on doing something completely unusual that they don't expect. You've been to conventions, and usually when they have the big finale shows, the most popular act is the juggler or somebody that doesn't do magic. That's who everybody raves about.
Right.
So I would try to make mine different. And I had a guy one time ask, "Where can I buy that routine?" I said, "Well, I made it." "Well, where can I buy it?" "Well, you can't buy it. I made it."
Yeah.
"Where did you get your props?" And I said, "Sir, I made it." He said, "Well, you tell me, or I'm just going to make them myself and do it."
It's just absolutely... People are terrible, aren't they?
Yeah. It's crazy to me. Yeah. Why would you want to be a cover band? That's what I call some of those shows. They're cover band shows. Yeah. But Branson itself has gone through a surge of variety acts, not just magic, but you and I were talking a little while ago about some of the big acts. I think it's good for Branson because there's such a variety. When you first came here, though... and when I first came here, I think we might have came here around the same time.
I've been here around 10 years.
All right, me too. I got here in 2006.
Okay.
But around that time, there was one name in magic here that kind of controlled everything.
Absolutely.
Good or bad, everybody went to that show, and good or bad, they raved about it.
And that's the exact reason why I did not want to come to Branson.
Yeah.
Because there was already a magician here, not because of the person or anything. It just, I kind of had a dream of going to a town where I could be the big magic guy. Yeah. And I thought, there's already a magician in Branson, so I don't want to go there, but I ended up here.
Yeah. Not just a magician, but they had a huge fan club.
Yeah.
And a following and quite a production and stuff like that. And when I came here, I was working with Sean Begonia.
Okay.
To develop a routine for myself. And he mentioned to me, "Oh, yeah, are you really working there? How's that going with this other guy?" Because he kind of has a monopoly on it.
Yeah.
But it's changed a lot over the last few years.
It has totally changed because now there's magic everywhere you look.
Pretty much. And there's even in the variety shows, they have that in there.
There's magic, There's magic in the air.
Is that what I smell?
I try to tell a lot of magicians to, whatever you do, don't come to Branson. And they may think, oh, the guy's jealous, he doesn't want the competition. But I'm just telling them, the truth. You know, don't come here unless you want to starve to death.
Yeah. Well, I give you a lot of credit because I was asked a few years ago to do my own show.
Yeah.
I had somebody that asked me about going to a theater and doing my own show, and I said, no way. Yeah. Because you have to appeal to an audience that wants to watch a magic show, where being part of a variety show is what I like. Because people come, they might like the music, they might enjoy me, but you're not.
Right.
You're not,
And then you don't have all the pressure of having to deal with all the, there's a lot of stress that comes with having your own show. Mm-hmm. You got the good gig because you got a paycheck and you go out, you got your built-in crowd that somebody else is spending the money on promoting.
Right.
Because you're with Silver Dollar City, right? They own your company, right?
Yeah.
They have, as you know, amazing marketing. So you got these wonderful crowds. Mm-hmm. So every day when you go out, it's like rock star. You got your big crowds, you rock them, you leave. And like guys like me that's self-producing, it is a curse. It's not just a blessing, but it's kind of a curse because you have to get your audience, you have to pay for your marketing, you have to do everything. And it's
I want to talk to you all about that and what you're doing this year in Branson.
Okay.
And you've basically toured all of Branson in the 10 years that I've been here.
Yeah, I've been on a tour, yeah.
So I want to talk about that in just a minute and find out what's going on for 2015 and 2016.
All right.
This is Christopher James with Taylor Reed. Thank you for supporting All Things Branson. Be sure to subscribe and stay in touch on Facebook and Twitter. Hi, this is Christopher James here with All Things Branson, and we're here with Taylor Reed at the beautiful Mr. Gilberti's. Out here. And
they have amazing pizza here.
They do. Do they have pizza? They do have pizza.
Yeah. Spaghetti and all kinds of things.
But I want to talk about your experience here in Branson now.
Yes.
Now, 2015, you're starting to do your show again.
Right on.
During the Christmas season, mainly. Fall, Christmas. Yeah. But in 2016, you're going to be with Jim Stafford at his theater. Now, I was telling you, making a joke, that you've basically been everywhere.
Yeah, I've been on a little tour here.
Mm-hmm. You started out, the first time I saw you were at, what do they call that, the Branson?
Well, it was called the Branson Hall of Fame Theater or something.
Hall of Fame Theater. And then I saw you a couple other places, but then you ended up at another magician's old theater.
Yeah, it was a magical castle at one time, and then they changed it they called it the Masters of Magic. Mm-hmm. When I was there, it was called the Masters of Magic. So yeah.
But that must have been completely different for you because you had to run the whole place, right?
Yeah, it was actually kind of nice because I had some big money guys behind me there.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that was nice. The only thing that wasn't nice is the night that we opened the show, they had painted over the other guy's face with, I think, white or black paint or something. And they forgot when they turned on the neon, his face was going to come back through the white paint. And so even though I was appearing there, it was funny.
Else.
So we made some jokes about it on the stage. It was just kind of a...
But he didn't think it was funny.
I don't think he did. I think he put a billboard across the street from me saying something kind of funny as well. Very competitive and stupid in this business.
You know what? We actually posted that picture because not only was there one, there was like 3 of them leading down to that theater.
Yeah, and it's like, I have moved down the road here. Mm-hmm. And then he said, often imitated, never duplicated. That's a part that was stupid.
Yeah, right.
Because I've been doing magic since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to duplicate a cat act, that's for sure.
No, it was completely different.
But however, I have been friendly with this guy on and off over the years, so I don't want to sound like I'm his enemy. I mean, he's been nice to me, I've been nice to him. But however, I just think some of this stuff is child's play.
Yeah. Well, going into that theater, though, I mean, you couldn't help but deal with that.
Well, you know what really happened that year? Is I had performed 2 years in a row at the Music City Center with Doug Gabriel. Oh, yeah. So Doug Gabriel's a singer, entertainer in town.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
He's a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And he was the manager of the theater because the owner of the theater, I think, lives in Phoenix or L.A. or somewhere. And so Doug was managing Music City Center. And I was the afternoon show at 2 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And Doug and I got along really well because I was a magic act and he's a singing act, and we could cross-promote each other's act with no competition. It was wonderful. You could come see my show, go see Doug tonight to win-win. So Doug and I worked there for a couple of years, and then this other magician had an investor come buy the place and basically yank the carpet out from under us. So about 20 shows lost their gigs there, everybody, from Joey Riley to church shows to the Comets and beyond.
I remember that. It was kind of shuttered for a little while.
So when I went home, my wife said, "You seem like you're in a pretty good mood. Why are you such in a good mood? You just loaded out of a theater." And I'm like, "Oh, it's just off to the next gig." Mm-hmm. And you know how we have to be as entertainers, right? You can't get depressed, just move forward.
Well, you're not supposed to. I can.
yeah, you can, yeah. And so she said, well, why don't you go get that guy's theater since he just got your theater? Uh-huh. I mean, there's your competitive edge there. So I went and got his theater, actually. Yeah. And it became a really big deal in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Because it was saying, it's very common for entertainers to swap places or do the Branson Shuffle.
Branson Shuffle, they call it.
But the Magicians just took a shuffle. He took my theater, I took his. And I got the better deal because the producers were mad at him. So they gave me 20 billboards.
Yeah.
I think they did that to make him mad.
Yeah. But I love that theater, by the way.
It's a wonderful
I thought it was really cool for magic.
It's a great theater. Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. But
kind of a bad location, though.
It is. And I always said that. I always tell the joke that when we talk about that theater, that the very first time I came into Branson, I'd never heard of Branson, Missouri before.
Right.
I'm driving down. I end up with one of the maps with all the colored routes. I'm so lost, and I end up at that theater trying to figure out where I am.
Right.
And I have to go in and ask for directions, and I say I'm a new magician in town, and they all looked at me, and now I know why.
Yeah.
But that was the very first place that I pulled in town and then went to.
The only thing good about that theater mainly is that it's been a kind of a magic theater on and off for about 20-something years. So when people come to town, I think they're semi-programmed to drive over there and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's closed down now for a couple of years.
Yeah, but I loved how it looked. It was
a wonderful theater.
It was perfect. So you left there, and then I know you sell a lot of magic online. You develop your magic and stuff. But you're setting up. You started at the Jim Stafford Theater.
Yes, we started about 3 or 4 weeks ago at Jim Stafford's Theater. We're doing an afternoon show at 2:00, Fridays and Saturdays only for the rest of the year. Because as you know, this is the slower time of the year for families, at least. Right. And my show is primarily a family show, children and adults.
Yeah, except for all the swearing. It's terrible. You're swearing.
There's a lot of cussing and drinking in our show, but other than that, no, I'm kidding. But however, our show is really wonderful for older people, but the perception to older women is they don't think they like magic. The old men are like, I love magic, because they remember,
when I was a kid.
But then the old ladies like, I don't want to go watch a guy with a bird. They think of a guy with a bird and a tux.
Or a rabbit.
But once they come, they're like, this is nothing like what I thought it was going to be. It's like,
What's a stereotype that you just hate about magic?
Well, I think that's one of them, is that the older women think that it's just going to be a hokey little magic show with a bird or a rabbit, when really it's kind of like a little concert with many levels, right? Comedy and variety and illusions and... But that would be it. The biggest pet peeve is...
Mine are just some of the jokes that I hear constantly, but you still laugh at them, make my wife disappear. Can you make me thinner?
Could you take a little weight off me here?
Yeah, or my wife can make money disappear. Like I hear this, because I meet the people after the show, and I hear the same ones all the time.
Well, they'll always say, could you take a little bit of this off, the ladies? And I'll say, hey, I'm a magician, not a surgeon,
Yeah, right. Or, they'll say, can you turn my dollar into a $100 bill? And I say, it'll cost you $300 for me to do that for you. You have to come up with little lines or you'll go crazy.
Right on.
But at this theater, do you finally have the chance to go and just do your show, concentrate on your show, not worry about concessions and restrooms?
I'm at the Jim Stafford Theater now, and it's nice because they have a wonderful management team over there. It's a very classy situation. It's a beautiful theater. They remodeled it. Spent about $2 million remodeling it, and it's right on the Strip, so the location's the best I've ever had, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about any of that. Being ushering or janitor work or any of that. They got all that covered.
I've talked to other people that do their own shows in town. That's the worst part. They say that you don't realize that we're out there greeting people afterwards and meeting the bus groups, and then we go in and clean the toilets and empty the trash. And
we've had those scenarios where my dancers have had to actually go and clean up the bathrooms and stuff. Well, fortunately, we haven't had to do that in a long time. But we had to at one time or another.
Well, it's not do fun. What you have to do, right?
Change the garbage bags and then clean up the popcorn and get out of here. So
and then go home and get ready for the next day.
So welcome to Branson.
But I'm looking forward to seeing your show in 2016. I think it's going to be great. You have a great location. Next year is going to be a good year for magic. Because just like a natural selection in Branson, the different people that don't really try that hard get weeded out. So all the good shows end up here. And I know you have a good show because you've been in Branson for 10 years.
Been here a long time. I think they say that if you can stay past 3 years, something's right. I don't know if it's... I think one of the claims to my small amount of fame here is the fact that I've been persistently promoting my show.
Right.
Because, there's so many shows in Branson, 150 or some odd shows, that you get lost in this crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to know who you are. So you have to get out in their face, actually, meet the people and do TV, radio like we're doing now. All this stuff helps, because a lot of people, they don't know how to do all that.
Right.
And as you and I know, being here a long time, that we've already seen a lot of stuff come and go because they didn't know the right tricks, so to speak. It's not about the tricks on stage or that. There's a lot more to it in the business.
Even big stars that come here only last a few months. Or, think of some of the people, Gallagher, I think Willie Nelson was here, Wayne Newton was here. All these people you would think would be huge successes here, and they moved on. So.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck next year.
Thank you.
And good luck the rest of this year here. And go see Taylor Reed at Jim Stafford. And your website is?
TaylorReed.com.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
And if you're a magician, go to my usemagicillusions.com.
Oh, there you go.
That's where I
need to talk to you about that. I have a bunch of things to sell.
So I sell magic tricks worldwide that way.
Oh, cool deal. All right. Well, it was great talking to you. And thanks for watching us. And support Branson. My name's Christopher James with Taylor Reed. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for supporting All Things Branson. Be sure to subscribe and stay in touch on Facebook and Twitter. Check back at allthingsbranson.com for the latest news about Branson, Missouri.